In the late 1950s, after successfully reintroducing a lot of Golden Age characters, Julius Schwartz, the then editor of National Periodical Publications, which would go on to become DC Comics, asked writer Gardner Fox to bring back the Justice Society of America. However, he had one particular caveat. Feeling that the name Justice Society sounded like a rich people's club or something and didn't invoke excitement, he decided to rename the team as the Justice League, inspired by the new baseball leagues, football leagues, etc. that were popping up in America at the time. Welcome to Comics Are Awesome, and this is the history of the Justice League. To make this easier for me and to prevent this video from running too long, I will be providing around minute-long summaries of each era of the league, highlighting the important details. We start off with the Classic League. First appearing in issue 28 of The Brave and the Bold, the main stars of the Justice League would be Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, the Barry Allen Flash, and the Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Superman and Batman were also members, but rarely appeared as the editors of their books wanted to avoid overexposure. I mean, it's not like DC has oversaturated the market with Batman and Superman, giving them like 5 to 6 titles and making audiences sick of them. Ha, ha, ha. A lot of the elements associated with the Justice League originated in this era, such as the Justice League satellite, aka the Watchtower, and of course classic villains like the power-copying Amazo, the galactic despot Despero, creative name, and of course the eldritch abomination Starro the Conqueror. Next, the Detroit era of the Justice League. Seeing that several team books focusing on teenage superhero drama was not only doing really well, but outselling them, the editors of Justice League decided to retool them in a more hip direction. As is often the case when you superficially copy something without understanding why it works, this idea fell flat on its face. So basically what happened was Aquaman disbanded the league and put together a team of some heroes from the previous league who could commit full-time and some newer ones. The only good things that came out of this era was one story where Despero returns for revenge and nearly decimates the team, with them barely winning, and Vixen, who got enough of a boost that she never completely faded out of the loop and would later on have a career in the Suicide Squad as well as return to the Justice League later. Next up, the International Era. Way too long, gets its own video next week. And now my favorite part, JLA. Arguably the highest point in its publication history, Grant Morrison relaunched the Justice League with a back-to-basics approach, bringing back the Big Seven, including their successors where the originals weren't available. I could sing this book's praises all day, but let's be honest, we don't have enough time. Instead, let's talk about what happened after Morrison left. Both Mark Waid and Joe Kelly would have some memorable runs. Joe Kelly ended his run in Justice League Elite. However, unfortunately, just JLA would end on a confusing note, as it dealt with not only the aftermath of Identity Crisis, but as well as the lead-in to Infinite Crisis. Oh, and speaking of getting derailed by event comics, the final era of the Pre Flashpoint Justice League. A new Justice League of America title was launched after Infinite Crisis with writer Brad Meltzer and artist Ed Benes. However, after their departure following issue 12, things started going wrong. The roster of the league kept getting changed, not because of story purposes, but because of external factors, like event comics and the main characters like Superman, Wonder Woman getting wrapped up in storylines in their own books. Complaining about these issues actually got writer Dwayne McDuffie fired from his job as writer of the title. Anyway, the last writer for the Pre Flashpoint League was James Robinson, and his run started off with him losing most of his characters as well. Robinson decided, but screw it. Remove some more members and add others to create a somewhat legacy version of the Big Seven. How successful he was, that depends on person to person. But I personally liked the one story I read with these characters. But anyway, I guess it wasn't popular enough and the New 52 was coming along, so yeah. With the end of this title ends the pre-Flashpoint era of the Justice League. In my opinion, it's actually quite sad to consider that what was once the flagship title of DC Comics was unable to keep its characters and kept getting passed over in favor of other event comics or other titles, ultimately ending not with a bang, but with a whimper. On that somewhat somber note, let's end this video. But don't worry, next week we'll talk about the Justice League with a sense of humor. See you next time.